The witch, I don't know, had a little too much brew and did a nosedive into the top of the tree. There are 3 words that pretty much describe my entire aesthetic, which are colorful, kitschy, and crafty. I am a creative content designer. I am really known for my holiday decor. As you can see, Halloween and Christmas are my jam, but I swear sometimes my house looks normal and there's not a Christmas tree. The house we had lived in previously, I had, painted literally every wall in every room. There was like the red room and the blue room and the yellow room. So when I moved here, I was like, you know what? I just want white walls so I can add color on color on color. So this is the first living area that you see when you first walk into my house. So besides like the obvious Halloween decorations, all of these things are in here year round. My green couch from Craigslist, and then the 2 really colorful chairs. They were my parents in the 70s, but I had them recovered. I have a mirror in the front room that I literally only keep because it like displays all the masks so beautifully. And the gateway drug for me when it comes to Halloween hoarding, and they're not really scary, and you can get some with like crazy hair. I mean, what's not to love? They're so tacky. I collect outsider art and tramp art. So this is usually full of, things I don't want my kids getting a hold of, my nicer collectibles. And then here are 2 of those paper mache pumpkins. Back in the olden days, like pumpkins weren't those like plastic ones that we get now, they were paper mache. 3 I have are extra sentimental to me because they were my parents. This one actually has a bird's nest in it. Down here is a collection of, they're called noise makers, like this. You make noise with them. They used to give them out to trick-or-treaters. I personally would be very angry if someone gave one of my children one of these annoying toys. I'm just gonna put that on the record. I have always wanted a vintage aluminum tree, and this is like really my first Halloween to have one. I got them at a flea market. I think it looks pretty awesome. Like not everything in my house is from the thrift store. Like it is perfectly fine to have brand new things. So the trick is finding a way to like marry those 2 beautifully. This is the formal living room, as it were. In August, I had this vision of like, I am gonna go pink Halloween. Over here are all these different like vintage cameras. On surface level, like cameras don't scream creepy, but with enough of them in a tree, it's kind of like got a voyeuristic, creepy weirdness to it. You may not know it looking at it, but to me, I know there's like little sentimental touches. This one was my grandma's, like it still has the little K on it. And of course, the tree topper is the Polaroid camera. I love to decorate like the trees differently, but use them as a way to display the vintage Halloween masks. As far as Christmas trees go, I have a lot. At any given time, I could have, like I say 100 Christmas trees up during the holidays, but they're not all like 9-foot tall trees. Like some of them are like the if we're literally counting all the trees. These are pictures that I found like at the thrift store. I have no idea who these children are. They're not family members. I mean, they are now. Like a skeleton, give that little dude some fangs. Kind of want to always have everything set up a little bit like a seek and find, where it's just like every time you look, it's like, oh, I didn't see that, This is my kitchen, kind of the little breakfast nook. A gauzy spider web and some honeycomb spiders work magic on any light fixture. Down here, I just put out some like Halloween plates. These are just vintage black glassware. I actually had a friend call me and was like, Jennifer, quick, get to the thrift store. There's chairs you need. My kids were like, Mommy, can we please go home? And I was like, no, we can't. I'm so glad I made them suffer. So I got this bar, which I love. I've never served a drink here, but it's a good piece of furniture. It holds all kinds of stuff like Halloween donuts or giant ears. A shadow box, old horror movies on like Super 8, some dental molds. Why wouldn't you collect strange people's teeth? These guys, they're new, and I think they're actually like little luminaries, like you put a light in there because this is paper. But instead this year I had to put some plants in there and these like glittery like witch hand. Behind me, I have portraits done of my family every year. That's kind of my Mother's Day gift. Rather than like taking my kids to the photo place, doing one of those, I was like, let's get these portraits made. Every year I choose a different artist. Now these are a couple of my favorites. They're done by my sister, Hope Perkins, and she does all kinds of custom portraits of people. I don't know why she decided to make my daughter a flamenco dancer and my son a matador, but I wasn't angry about it. I like it. I love art that if you look at it, you're like, I can't tell if like a child, a crazy person, or a genius did this. Like if I'm like questioning, like, I don't know, one of the three. That's why I love my kids' art. I'm like, oh, it's so good. These are like a favorite, like still in the package. Tooth black, you know, just in case you want to black out your tooth. But I also do, you know, regular non-holiday crafts as well. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, like, what are you doing with that plain giant piece of white furniture in this crazy house? Well, I'll just show you what it does. You open it up. It's like a clown car of craft supplies. And what's behind door number 1? Scrapbook paper and an assortment of rickrack. Paint galore. Don't think for 1 second that this is all my craft supplies, because you know it's not. Or I do love a pom-pom, because if you mess up on something, you can just glue a pom-pom on it. It's good as new. Another thing are these vintage crisper drawers, as in like from a fridge. One person's trash is another person's pom-pom shelf, kind of like the whole rest of the house. Like I wanted to throw in some like vintage storage, lunch boxes, like old tin lunch boxes, but they also, you know, work great is storage. They made more obnoxious rickrack in pom-pom fringe, like back in the 50s and 60s. And the more obnoxious the craft supply, the better for me. With Halloween, like I never want it to be scary. I always want it to be fun. I always want it to be whimsical. And that's really how I want my house to be all the time. Even to me, sometimes I'll be like, well, I phoned it in. But you know, to anyone else, it's just like, no, you went overkill is what you did. Like my version of overkill is a little different than everybody else's. You are who you are, right? And so it's just like, I can't do it any other way than a way that's gonna match me and my, like, it's always been a lot. Me and the house, like, from the get-go has always been like that.